The doctors gave me the bleak outlook. I could not believe it. Oh God, what do I do now? He's my best friend. The worst thing that I could imagine would be losing him.
On March 8, 2015, Doug and Patty Nichols were vacationing in Florida. Having walked the beach earlier, they sat down for lunch. And that's when Patty noticed there was something terribly wrong with her husband.
And I looked over at him and I says, oh gosh, he's having a stroke. Because his face was not quite right. And when he was talking to me, it was all gibberish. And I says, we need to go to the doctor now.
Patty drove Doug to the ER. Hours later, doctors told Patty that he had indeed experienced a mini stroke and that they would monitor him overnight. She returned to their condo to get some rest, only to receive a call letting her know that Doug was moved to another hospital and that he had suffered a massive stroke in the ambulance.
I met the doctor there and he says, come with me. And so we went to the little room and he showed me the scan of his brain. He says, as you can see, he lost 2/3 of the right side of his brain, which affected his left side of the body. We don't know if he's going to make it through the night. It was scary. Then I was talking to God and I was just saying, you know what? It is in your hands.
Patty picked up her phone and called everyone she could think of, asking them to pray for Doug. Then something happened that night.
As I was laying there, I was worried about not being able to go to sleep and what was going to happen next. I felt that there was like a presence in the room that I couldn't explain. In hindsight, I guess that could have been all the intercessory prayers that were happening at that time, but its origin was somewhere from God. That's all I know. It calmed me. And eventually I fell asleep for a while then. The next morning, my wife did come in the room. The first thing that I said to her, I said, remember, you promised to God, in sickness or in health, till death do we part.
Seeing Doug there in the ICU with that big smile on his face, it just, I knew things were okay. I just knew it. I knew God had us and we were going to be fine.
Doug had an atrial fibrillation, the cause of his strokes that doctors were trying to bring under control with medication. He also still lacked motor function on the left side of his body, but prayers continued to pour in, and by day 8, Doug's AFib was under control and he began walking.
Incredible. Couldn't believe that I was back on my feet. God is at work. Look at what God has done. That's when the real impact of the intercessory prayers was starting to hit me. Here it is, living proof, right? I can walk again.
Doug was in rehab for 4 months, regaining 95% of his motor functions. A surgery was performed to correct his AFib, and he soon began driving and working again. Then, nearly 1 year to the day, Doug and Patty returned to Florida to finish their vacation.
I was gonna get my run on the beach, which I had been cheated out of the first trip. It was the most emotional run that you could ever imagine. I was literally running and crying, praising God. I decided I was gonna collect some shells to remember the run by. And little did I know that Christmas, I received a shadow box from my daughter. Also had the verse of Isaiah 40:31. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, walk and not faint. And that shadow box has become my memorial stone.
Doug now acts as a peer mentor, counseling and encouraging others who have suffered strokes. He and Patty give all the credit to God for his survival and miraculous recovery.
Oh, I'm very grateful to God after everything we've been through. I thank him all the time for giving us more time together. It's very satisfying, and it's very peaceful knowing that he has always had our backs and that he is in our life permanently.
still brings me to tears. Everybody gathered and were praying. So it was an unbelievable effort to save me and heal me. It's all God. It's not me. And it's all for His glory. Prayer is powerful. And I am a living testimonial to the healing power of God.